78, verses 1 through 4. This is a little bit of review from last week, and we'll go a little bit further. Listen, O my people, to my instruction. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not conceal them from their children, but tell to the generation to come the praises of Yahweh and his strength and his wondrous works that he has done. So last week we saw that he's got these parables, these dark sayings of old, which basically meant that he's got messages from God that you can hear. They're not inaccessible, but they do require a certain heart condition in order to hear them, right? You got to put in some elbow grease to understand some of this stuff. And so he's going to tell us these things. He's going to transfer the wisdom of God, but he's going to do it in a very specific way. Check this out. In verse 3, we have heard it and we have known it. So there's this parable, there's this dark saying, there's this information that's hard to access, but we have known it. Well, how have we known it? Our fathers have told us. We will not conceal them from their children, but tell to the generation to come the praises of Yahweh and his strength and his wondrous works which he has done. So the wisdom of God is getting transferred across generations, and this is happening between father and son, between parent and child. So that's the way that the knowledge of God gets transferred and spread throughout the world. Look, I get the question a lot, what about the people who have never heard the gospel? What happens to them? How is that fair? And things like that. Part of the answer to this, guys, is multi-generational unfaithfulness, which really is what Psalm 78 is about. It's about the unfaithfulness of Israel and the faithfulness of God in that. But, at some point, everybody got off of the same boat. Right? There were 8 people in the world after the flood. 100% of the global population had the knowledge of God. Why doesn't everybody know about God now? It's because somebody didn't do their job in the home. Right? They couldn't outsource it to the church. The church didn't exist yet, and there were only 8 people. Okay, that's low church attendance. They couldn't turn on the TV and have Billy Graham teach them about the Lord. There was no TV and there was no Billy Graham. There were 8 people. So somebody didn't transfer the knowledge of God down across generations. And now you see there are entire people groups that have been completely cut off from the knowledge of God because it just hasn't been spread to them. We've been trying to get to the Sentinel Island, to North Sentinel Island for how long? And those people are completely unreached with the gospel. We just can't get there. And they're hostile and they kill people that show up. How does something like this happen? It's because Psalm 78, 1 through 4 doesn't happen. So I'm going to take this opportunity because I've got a microphone, see? So I'm going to take this opportunity to beat this drum, which we need to beat pretty regularly, that the church cannot substitute the parents in discipleship. We can help the family. We can supplement. We can fill in gaps. We can answer questions. We can provide outlets and opportunities. We can, do all of the one another's that are mentioned in the New Testament. Wonderful, beautiful, incredible, and needed things happen in the church. But we are the church, right? We are not parents, and we can't substitute the communication of the wisdom of God from one generation to the other as effectively as parents can. We don't occupy that place in the structure. The church occupies a different place, and the bride of Christ is great at what she does. But we're not parents. So what I want to do is just read some of what the Bible has to say about discipleship in the home, about transferring the knowledge of God from one generation to the next. I'm just going to read you a smattering of verses here, okay? Psalm 44, verse, where are we going here? Psalm 44, 1. O God, we have heard with our ears, our fathers have told us the work that you did in their days, in the days of old. Not the pastor, not the youth pastor, not the evangelist on the television. Our father told us. Dad told me about God. How about Exodus 12. When your children say to you, what does this right mean? Then you shall tell them, I skipped a verse here. Tell them it's because of what God did in our lives. That's chapter 13 also. This is because of what the Lord did for me in my day. Deuteronomy 6, you shall teach them diligently to your sons, meaning the commands of the Lord. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Chapter 11, verse 19. You shall teach them to your sons, talking of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk along the road, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Job 15. What wise men have told and have not concealed from their fathers. There's wisdom going back both directions, right? Through the generations. Psalm 145. One generation shall praise your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. Isaiah 38. It is the living who give thanks to you as I do today. A father tells his son about your faithfulness. Joel 1:3. Tell your sons about it and let your sons tell their sons and their sons the next generation. One more here. We'll go with Psalm 71. O God, you have taught me from my youth, and I still declare your wondrous deeds. How did he teach the youth? How does he teach kids? Bouncing on their mama's knee, you know? So discipleship in the home is a huge, huge focus in the Old Testament and the New Testament, but I mean, just reading Old Testament passages here. And it's funny because there's not like one place where it just really hammers this. It's instead just smattered and commanded and assumed and mentioned and all of that. But when you take all of this in aggregate, you say, man, God designed for my kids to hear the gospel from me. And so what I want to tell you guys is this. Psalm 78, as we get into larger chunks of it next week, Psalm 78 is going to prove to us that the structure works. God created a system and it works. And we cannot make our kids decisions for them. We cannot choose for them whom they will serve. They're going to have to do that themselves. But what we can do is we can make sure that they know who they are accepting or rejecting. We can make sure that they know the work of Christ. So that data is in there. And then God does the heart work. That's not us, that's him. But how are they going to believe on him whom they have not heard? And how are they going to know if somebody doesn't tell them? Parents have beautiful feet before missionaries do. Right? So tell to your kids the faithfulness of the Lord. And by the way, it's never too late to start. I know the feeling that comes up with a lot of this stuff, which is like, man, I have spent so long being negligent in this. I've neglected it. I've screwed this up, whatever. Listen, guys, you let Satan handle the guilt and the accusation side of things, okay? That's his thing. He'll go ahead and accuse you plenty, I'm sure. You don't need to pile on to that. He's a liar, and he has been from the beginning, and when he lies, he speaks his native language, okay? Here's what I want you to know. It's not too late for this. The gospel is always powerful. The gospel never changes, and it always has power to save. And if you feel like, and maybe you're right, if you feel like you have missed the boat on the formative years of your children, yeah, maybe that's a problem that needs to be addressed. But the gospel hasn't lost power, so it is not too late to start evangelizing and discipling your family. So get started and let us know if we can help. We would love to.